Hey, good morning, everyone, and welcome to the PivotBoss Pre-Market Report. I'm Frank Ochoa, aka PivotBoss, with analysis for the current session here, May 27th, 2016, the day before Memorial Day weekend begins. So we could be seeing some quiet trading behavior throughout the session. For the most part, we may even see a little bit of profit taking heading into the extended holiday session, and that's something to keep in mind. Looking at the daily time frame, the one thing we were looking at this week was based off of the previous week dropping below 2031s. The expectation was below value, we'd likely see a slingshot move back to the top of value. We got that move. So for all intents and purposes, we've pretty much played out exactly as we had expected. And now what we're looking for is for signs of any weakness at or above 2100 for a sign at returning price back to value and back below it. So right now, nothing really to do too much here. It could be a very quiet session already. If we're looking at ADR, this is about as quiet as you get. 4.5 points of range in the ES here. It's been averaging 23.5 points over the last 10 sessions. That's 19% of ADR. We have 21% of ADR in the NQ with a 13 handle range. Those ranges are just so tiny. There's nothing really to do right now. So if you want to start your Memorial Day weekend early, by all means, this is a good session to do it. If you look at the intraday time frame for the ES, again, here it is, very tightly coiled action. Just really nothing really to discern out of this trading range. It's just very quiet chop. It could be a melt up type of day until perhaps some late day profit taking comes into the picture. But right now, the early idea is to watch for 2092 half, right? That's the key level up here. Pushing beyond that zone could open up some upside buy stops into the next upside targets. Because today could be a very quiet day, we may not be looking for moves all the way out to the primary 75 at 2105s. While that could be as far as we go today, it's more likely that we could just rally into 2099, 75. That could be right where we go to 2100. We also have perhaps 2096, 2098. So we have a couple of key levels up here to watch for. But again, we have to see how this thing plays out early on. Above 2092 half could squeeze, but it could be a very quiet day and fits and starts between now and then. So we'll see how this continues to play out. Overall, could be a very quiet session, so do not get caught in the chop. Looking at the NQ daily time frame here, what we saw again, prices below 4300s were defended. We were looking for some sort of expansion from this range here. We mentioned above 4400 could squeeze back toward 4550. So far, we're halfway there. We're at 4500 and counting right now. So as we mentioned before, any pullbacks could be seen as a buying opportunity for a continuation toward 4550. And right now, this little LVN could be the ticket here at around 4440. Any pullback into that zone could offer a nice buying opportunity for a swing move up. Obviously, heading into the holiday session, we may not see much activity right now. So again, be careful as we head into the weekend. Looking at the intraday time frame, you see we've pushed beyond 2-day highs here, the previous highs from 2 days ago, 44.89 half, and we're above that zone right now. So 44.89s, 44.90s, early key zone right here. Bulls want to keep that area bid for perhaps a continuation. Below that area opens up a potential move back to 5-day value, which is currently 44.73. That may not be seen today, but that could be what plays out should price fall back below 44.90. Overall, we could see a quiet melt up type of session. The 50% ADR scaling target is 45.21. Given that it is holiday trading, that could be the primary today instead of the normal primary, which is the 75%. So this could be the target that you're playing to should we continue to push higher here today. Looking at the gold contract. Here's gold. This one's been interesting here. Obviously, we had the significant tail event right here. That's where we were believing that we could see a slingshot move downward. We had our 1282s as a zone to defend, and we've reached our downside targets and more. I mean, this thing has continued pushing lower. One thing we noticed in the previous session in our trading room was 1236 half being rejected from below. That's value. That's composite value. So you see price went offered through it on this session and then came back and rejected very sharply off of it here from below. that usually leads to more weakness. But I mentioned before, 1208, especially in the trading room when we switched over to the Q contract here. This is the August 2016 contract. One thing we were talking about was the top of the key range, 1208.30. That's important. That's where bulls have been defending ever since they took it bid, and right now we're seeing a little bit of a tail in that zone right now. So what we've been telling the trading room traders is that once we get down here at the bottom of this trading range, that's where it's going to get interesting, because this is where the market has come in to defend time and time again in gold. So that would be the expectation right now. As long as price can hold above 1208s here, this could be an area where gold bulls will absorb down here below 1228s and then look to squeeze it back up toward 1275s, 1265s, 75s, 85s, etc. Failure to hold 1208 could be significant, and that could really unload the downside sell stop. So that's going to be the key pivot to watch, 1208s. Looking at crude oil, you can see crude oil has hit our targets time and time again here. Very nice the way this thing is played out. We're back to 50. This is something we were talking about ever since we pulled back here. 35.17 was our value. We were looking for bulls to defend it and squeeze toward 49s and 50s, and you can see how that's played out. One thing that is concerning me just a little bit here, and this is what I mentioned to our trading room traders, is how pullbacks are getting kind of milder and milder, or more mild, if you will. These pullbacks are getting smaller and smaller. It's starting to needle up toward the highs here. Typically speaking, when that happens, there could be a larger retracement here. Additionally, we do have kind of a channel that's built out that I've referenced before. We have yet to come down and test the bottom of that line now. So we could be looking at some sort of pullback effect here that could offer another buying opportunity back up. What I mentioned before was we had some HVNs we were playing to. We reached one here, 49s. We're playing for the next LVN at 51.65. And then the biggest HVN of all is going to be 55s here. So that could still be where this thing is headed towards, those 55s. But there may be some sort of pullback ahead of time. Obviously, the previous month's high is still intact. That's 47.46. Bulls continue to defend that area for continuations higher. So the levels are clear for crude oil. We could see further strength, but right now, a little bit of weakness could be had before then. Looking at the intraday time frame for crude oil, you can see here we've got a little bit of a tightly coiled price action so far. Crude oil is trading 50% of average range, 64 ticks of range when it's been averaging $1.27. Very nicely coiled range here. Look for expansion outside of this range. Until then, it could be back and forth. But here's the overnight pivot, 49.15. Above that level, squeezes back to value. On a 5-day basis, that's 49.35, 49.39, with a shot at retesting the previous week's high at 49.56. That's been the key level. And in overnight trading, you can see price basically went into the previous session's close and has fallen down here. So any failure to get back above the overnight pivot could be a selling opportunity for new lows as this thing starts to show a little bit more pullback. If that's the case, in taking the previous week's high offered, the ultimate target could be the previous week's close back at 48.50. So the overnight pivot is going to be important here. Failure to get above this level would signal maybe perhaps a continuation toward this target. Above this level opens up, moves back toward these two targets. All right, that's it for now. Let's see how this thing plays out heading into the rest of the session. Good luck, trade well, and happy Friday. Happy Memorial Day if I don't see you on Monday. Obviously, it's going to be an extended holiday weekend, and so there probably won't be another report until after the holidays. So have a great, safe weekend, and I'll see you soon. Take care.